it might be hard to beat this for 500 bucks. So I suspect the next time I sit down and pull the camera out, I'm probably going to be saying, yep, I'll give this TV a pretty damn good review. So here we are with the much talked about Hisense Roku 65-inch 4K TV. And the big box has been removed. There's been some problems with some of the reviewers that they're getting damaged TVs and very damaged boxes. But mine looks good, and it actually is packed up pretty good. That's the front. So it's got a nice piece right here. Of course, I haven't opened it, so we don't know if it's intact, but it definitely looks good. So, and you got this thing floating around. Alright, that's nice. Okay, so once again, that's a Hisense TV, but something that I've noticed for the new 2018 Vizio televisions is they wised up and they've included a remote in the Vizio TVs, although they have Chromecast as the operating system. The point being, at least this TV has a nice little Roku remote, which is cute. So, alright, I'll get into the rest of it here a little bit later. So this is the 64-inch 4K TV with the Roku interface. I must have entered my information wrong. But it is questionable whether it has HDR because the Hisense marketing is so non-specific that you can't tell from the box, and I just read the entire manual. You can't tell from the manual. So they just when they hide something, then that means that it's probably not present. So we'll find out in a minute. And so we'll just take a look at it here real quick. So it's got a black bezel, which the other Hisense TV in Walmart has a silver bezel, and man, I have got a pet peeve about that. So I'm very glad it's got a black bezel. Looks like there's 3 HDMIs, an optical, an Ethernet, and let's see, you do have a TV tuner, which is nice. It is a big television, it's heavy. Alright, so it took me a minute. I've never had a Roku TV or a Hisense TV. So it actually took me a minute to figure out where the picture settings were, i.e. sharpness, brightness, contrast, and all that stuff, where you might calibrate things. And it might actually appear that the TV is HDR, because within the menu it seems as though it is allowing you to select HDR, and when you play an HDR video from YouTube, it will say HDR up in the top right. So I'm going to fool around a little bit more, but I've got the picture settings at least sort of how I usually have them. So I'll watch it for a little while. You have to have, let's see, we'll get some, now this is just going to be 1080p. And quite honestly, I don't think that the upscaler in the TV is great. Now, so here we are. This is definitely 1080p from Netflix. So if we go to settings, let's see. Oh, all right. So, okay. So the deal is you have to have content playing to adjust settings. So if we go to advanced picture settings, you'll see here you just have a few. These settings here, movie, normal, sports. Let's see, we'll just leave it on vivid. And there's going to be a different setting for each type of content. Alright, so now let's go to... So anyway, you see... Now how do we get into the Roku part of things? Alright, so that's 1080p. So now let's go take a look at some 4K content. Alright, so let's see. Let's look. Okay, so now this. Alright, so we're in Vivid here. Okay, and you see. Alright, so that's 4K. Now, obviously, that's bright. Okay, and the colors look good. And honestly, for under $500, which is what I paid for this, it certainly appears to be pretty awesome. Alright, so now we're going to go back. Alright, hold on. Alright, so now we're going to go back to find us an HDR. Sorry, we've gone all the way out. So now we're going to find something that is actually HDR. So this is a little bit of a separate part of the review on this television. The objective is just to find out if it in fact does have HDR. I don't have my Blu-ray, my 4K Blu-ray player plugged in, which I'll do later. Alright, so we're going to find an HDR video, which I know is HDR. Okay, I know that this has been, is HDR. Alright, so you see up there, HDR. That is not on the video. That's part of the television, it would appear. Because that comes up, and it looks identical on different videos if they have HDR. And then if you go into your settings, okay, now you see how in picture mode you've got bright HDR, dark HDR, and then normal. So I'm going to leave mine bright, but it would appear that when you're in HDR, you're getting a different set of settings. So yeah, and the adjusting the settings is pretty nice because you can do it easily while the content is playing. Just gonna bump the brightness down. Leave the contrast up, and leave the sharpness down. That's probably too colorful, but we'll leave it there. And so let's see, backlight is up. Okay, so we'll leave it there and we'll watch a little bit. Alright, now let's see how the viewing angles are. I haven't actually bothered to look at that. Let's see, is it losing color? Well, I mean, well, actually the viewing angles are not terrible. Alright, so I believe that it is an HDR television. Do some more testing to confirm that, but